beginning there was a seed, untainted, fragile, and full of potential. From this seed sprouted a vine. From this vine grew life. The vine started out pure. Early American natives nurtured this vine, and in turn, the vine and the natives flourished in symbiosis.
Meanwhile, a group of people in England were looking for their own religious freedom.
So they set out in many large ships to cross the perilous oceans. The first ones to arrive were the Pilgrims. The Native Americans showed the Pilgrims farming techniques that would allow them to survive the long, cold winters. In return, the Pilgrims introduced the Native Americans to smallpox, measles, and mumps. The foreigners eventually pushed the natives out over the course of many bloody battles.
The reason for this invasion was simple. The Pilgrims were escaping the oppressive conditions of European rule. Britain, being the strongest empire of the time, believed it was their right to claim the newfound land.
So came Great Britain's troops and a burly-ass Revolutionary War. On July 4th, 1776, the newly founded Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence. As we fast forward through the next 90 years, we see more wars, new presidents, and a historic rush for gold in the West.
All was fair in the pursuit of profit.
The newly declared Americans traded in Africa to obtain labor in the form of slaves. The Africans were brought across the oceans where they were immediately sold, only to be put to work in cotton fields and called property. As the slaves became more hungry for liberty, freedom never rang and the vine was neglected.
The Southern slave owners turned such a large profit from their free labor business that they tried to secede from the Union in 1861. The North won, and one of the president's first acts after the war was the Emancipation Proclamation, an order abolishing all slavery. Well, most of it, or some of it anyway.
It had seemed that the vine was gaining strength and virility, but then again, nothing lasts. The man that freed the slave was assassinated. Growth and expansion led to prosperity, adventure, and a new frontier. The vine eventually grew strong again, connecting the east to the west via the railroad. Rich people enjoyed these new times. The vine flourished until Prohibition, where gangsters found an opportunity to sell booze on the black market. American streets ran of blood from this highly organized crime. About the same time World War I started. Trench warfare, machine guns, the Red Baron, more fighting for freedom of oppression. Then bad times got even worse, when the stock market took a dive. The Great Depression was anything but great. Not too long after that, another ugly little man with a pencil-thin mustache began a mass genocide of the Jews. This began a Second World War. Was crushed, and Japan surrendered shortly after invading America as Pearl Harbor. In return, America did one of the most devastating things in world history, dropping weapons of mass destruction on Japan's civilian population. Innocent cities and people were decimated. I'm still amazed at how strong the vine was during these times. Seemingly almost dead, it was nurtured back to health with the help of poodle skirts and TV. Struggles continued, but the vine just wouldn't die. It got stronger and more vibrant with the help of civil rights activists like MLK and Malcolm X, standing up for the oppressed and helping people realize equality. But as it goes, some things are too good to be true. Malcolm X, MLK, and America's much-loved President Kennedy would be assassinated, but not without leaving a positive mark on the vine. It didn't take America long to throw the vine into another war that proved to take a toll on the morale of the vine. Young men were forced to fight and the vine was butchered. Peaceful people also tried to voice their opinions, but everyone seemed to be getting more confused. Protest demonstrations battled the governing forces for years. Many of the men that were forced to fight came back from the war different people, mentally scarred and hooked on heavy drugs. Drugs and street gangs came into play, and a whole new battle started in America, the war on drugs.
During this time, 1/5 of young black youth were jailed for some reason, or no reason at all.
Then came another bad guy, Saddam. When he decided to enter the oil-rich lands of Kuwait, the American government wouldn't stand for this though. So came the Persian Gulf War.
Of course, this building in Oklahoma was also blown up, creating the deadliest domestic terrorist attack up to that point.
And soon after came a school shooting massacre in the unsuspecting suburbs of Colorado. But nothing would remain the same after 2 airplanes crashed into the World Trade Center in New York City.
The fight against terror must be fought and won.
So back to the desert for more blood, oil, and money. So goes the story. So here we are, a vine that's shriveled and dying because of a lack of care and love. With a very graphic past behind us, it's history that cannot be erased but can easily be smeared. The vine has miraculously continued to grow, and the next seed has yet to be illustrated. We need to look back and learn from our past, see what the is really going on here.
How much more are we going to tolerate?